I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. At a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing on Thursday, Senator Tom Cotton grilled Secretary of the Army Christine Wormuth. The Republican senator ripped into the Secretary of the Army about the Army Combat Fitness Test. Senator Cotton called the new standards, quote, absolutely pathetic. Wormuth pushed back, saying that they didn't want to disadvantage any subgroups. Take a listen to their heated exchange.
I am disappointed and borderline appalled at the fiasco that the Army Combat Fitness Test has become. For years, the Army said that you were going to have gender-neutral standards. You both sat at that table less than a year ago and testified that you would have gender-neutral standards. Yet, Ms. Wormuth, just a few weeks ago, you issued a new directive saying there would not, in fact, be gender-neutral standards. Has something changed about the nature of combat in the last 10 months I'm unaware of?
Senator, I think when I was here for my confirmation hearing, I said that I wanted to look at the data that the Army was developing.
No. When you were here on June 15th, 2021, I asked if you would have gender-neutral standards. And you said, we are continuing to look at how to finalize the design for the ACFT. We're continuing to have gender-neutral standards. I asked General McConville, are you committed as well to maintaining gender neutrality on the test? General McConville said, I am. What happened in the last 10 months?
Senator Cotton, we looked at over 630,000 diagnostic test scores. We looked at the results of the congressionally directed RAND study that was, to give us recommendations and findings about what we should be looking for in designing a new fitness test. And what we found was, we wanted to, make sure that we had a fitness test that was a general fitness test that would make sure that it would raise our overall level of fitness, be something that would help us develop a higher level of fitness. And we wanted to make sure that we didn't unfairly have standards for a particular subgroup that people, couldn't perform. We didn't want to disadvantage any subgroups. And when we looked at that data, what we found was there were subgroups that were disadvantaged. And so we looked at the recommendations from RAND, we looked at the data, and we found that the way to have a test that meets our objectives was to have age and gender normed tests.
And so that's exactly what the old Army physical fitness test had as well. And you've abandoned also any MOS specific tests. An earlier version of this had heavy physical activity, significant physical activity, and moderate physical activity MOSs that had separate standards. You've abandoned those as well?
The Army moved away from the MOS-connected standards, I think, a couple of years ago before I became secretary. But, I would say that the new Army Combat Fitness Test is much more challenging than the Army Physical Fitness Test.
No, it's not. It's not. The new standards are pathetic. They are absolutely pathetic. Here's what a female aged 17 to 21 has to do to qualify for any job, to include infantry and special forces. 10 push-ups. Run 2 miles. Let me put run in scare quotes as well. Make sure the record reflects I'm doing air quotes around run. In 23 minutes and 22 seconds. The standards for men aged 17 to 21 are equally pathetic. 10 push-ups and a 22-mile run, in scare quotes again, run in 22 minutes. Under the old test, a female aged 17 to 21 had to do 13 push-ups. A man had to do 35 push-ups. Female had to run a 2-mile run in 19 minutes and 42 seconds. A man had to do it in 16 minutes and 36 seconds. Do you really think these new standards are adequate for the infantry and the special forces and artillery?
Senator, one of the reasons the tests, the numbers you just quoted are the case is because the new test is a 6-event test as opposed to a 3-event test.
I'm well aware of how many events there are. The standards for the other events are equally pathetic. They're equally pathetic.
Are
you going to allow? So it's a well-known fact that in certain MOSs, in the infantry, every unit I served in, every school I went to, a 60-point minimum was not acceptable. If you wanted to be promoted or get awards or go to schools, you had to get 90 points. Are you going to let subordinate commanders establish higher standards for their units?
For things like the Special Forces, there are absolutely additional physical fitness requirements.
No, are you going to let them say you have to have 90 points, not 60 points to be in this unit?
The ACFT is our general fitness test.
The answer is no. Your own frequently asked question said commanders cannot set physical standards for acceptance into or retention in a combat unit. This is going to get people killed. What you need to do is have gender-specific and age-specific tests and MOS-specific tests. You don't need cyber specialists and cooks and nurses to meet the same standards as infantry and special forces. But in those units, you need men and women alike to meet the same standards. Let me just read one quote here to you to finish up. While it may be difficult for a 120-pound woman to lift or drag 250 pounds, the Army cannot artificially absolve women of that responsibility. It may still exist on the battlefield. The entire purpose of creating a gender-neutral test was to acknowledge the reality that each job has objective physical standards to which all soldiers should be held regardless of gender. The intent was not to ensure that women and men will have an equal likelihood of meeting those standards. Do you know who said that?
No, I don't believe that.
Captain Kristen Griest, the Army's first female infantry officer and one of its first female Ranger School grads. She also said it is wholly unethical to allow the standards of the nation's premier fighting units to degrade so badly. I agree. I'm not going to let it stand.